Yo, what's up guys, new Siege video. It's been a while since I did Siege videos. Most of the Sieges I do are kind of somewhat repetitive with like similar offenses. This one was a little bit different, this one was a little bit more interesting. First of all, I had a bunch of difficult hits on a lot of Kikis. Well, difficult hits maybe not, but Kikis is definitely a difficult defense. In general, it's still a dangerous one that if it procs a lot, it can do a lot of damage. Therefore, I mainly like to cleave it. In this case, I actually did misclick. I went for the Homunculus S3 on the Aeon twice. You only have to do once on the Aeon, and then the second time you want to do it on yourself. It did still work out because the Aeon did enough damage even without the attack buff, but normally you go for Homunculus S3 on Aeon, you hit the first unit without attack buff, then Homunculus S3 on self, give the speed buff to itself, and then S2 on the Aeon, so Aeon can go for a second S2 with an or a second S3 with an attack buff. So kind of misplayed that, but it worked out. I put damage dark. And with the damage dark, it was enough damage to actually kill the unit itself. So then the next hit, there was a full tower of this and I had the time to hit a few of those. So in this case, similar thing, we kill off the Triana first and then we have damage on dark to hit as much on that unit. Plus a Moor is not that great of a stripper into 3 debuffs. Plus we had the pure vanilla cookie that has the chance to do Oblivion on the Kiki, and an Oblivion Kiki doesn't do anything. So even if you use a fairly different team, the pure vanilla cookie is definitely a unit that would super hard counter this whole team. And then it's just a simple cleanup for Sonya on that last Moor. Funny enough, I have this team twice, so that's kind of cheating, right? So yeah, this is the one with the Adriana. It's literally using the same runes. It could be a different defense. In this case, both of them had shield sets. This one was a little bit more tanky, but it's near impossible for Triana to actually survive any of those damages. It's literally near impossible. Plus, it's pretty hard to kill any of those units of mine. I would say the Mieng, because it's a full damage set as well on a pretty high speed set, so she speed's getting there for speed damage. It would say that that one could be killed, but it's still pretty difficult to get killed. Then the next fight, this is what I've been doing quite a bunch. If you don't happen to have a Lima, the best replacement for the Lima in this case is a Lewis, which is the Paladin of Wind. I think that's probably even a better take on this. However, I do have Lima skilled up and ruined up, and I do not have Lewis skilled up and ruined up. So for that reason, I tend to use that over a Lewis because I just don't have it. So you use what you have. So I have LDs, I use LDs. That's just a simple take on it. But this is overall a very solid offense in general. If there's no stripper on the enemy side, you could replace the Thessarion with a Rika as well. I would say that a Rika would probably do it better, but it's mainly for if there is a cleanser on the enemy side, then I recommend you to go for more of like single target damage rather than trying to AoE damage and then at some point everything gets AoE healed and then you're not doing anything, right? So, but definitely the Hey Gang into Clara's is a very solid offense. That's definitely what I've been doing lately and it definitely does work out pretty well. And then it's just a simple cleanup from here, and that is done. Then the next fight, and this is my no RNG team. And what means no RNG? Nephthys is guaranteed to land all of her skills. Tiana is guaranteed to strip and increase attack buff, or attack bar. That means you have no RNG, only for red. Let's see what kind of RNG we can have in this match, and let's see if we can lose against that. So this skill 3, it is max accuracy, it is high on defense, so I should definitely land it. We get 2 resistance on pushbacks, but we land all of the freezes. Not too bad yet, but okay, we get a proc out, so we remove the defense break. Because of removing that defense break, this cannot kill unless I kill the Triana. Well, if I kill the Triana, still only the Triana would be dead. But this thing does a decent amount of damage, but not that much. Gets an additional turn, procs, sleeps. Procs again, sleeps again. Okay, that's pretty difficult so far. We get a resistance on that, procs on that as well. We get a kill over there, sleep, another proc. Okay, proc, sleep again. Like, how are you Hathor by this point? I'm like, wait, am I fighting an Hathor? Like, okay, if we get a proc over here, we still have some chances. S2, if we land a good S2 right now, we have defense break though. So the defense break is gonna make it that I do very little damage. I do not freeze in the middle. And yeah, freezing on the right would have been more difficult in the first place. So yeah, that's not too great. So if we would have proc there and then killed the Carcano as well, we would have had a slight chance. But in this case, I lost. Yeah, that's one of those, I'm like, normally I actually use the Dark Robo for the team to have a little bit extra chip damage in and then make it work like that. But like, oh my god, that team was... What was it? The sleeps? Was it the first proc of Bella surviving? What was it? I don't know what it was, but in this case, if we just do it like this, it dies. But yeah, that was an interesting one where I would say that doesn't happen all too often, but it did happen over here. Makes it interesting or something. I don't know. Then we have a very old team. I used to run this as well, like way back in the days. But it's not that great. Like if you go a Hellfast, a Fire Unit, and a Bracuni, 9 out of 10 you will win this because they drop everything on the Hellfast. Hellfast is released long enough that the enemy guild that you're fighting probably has more than enough Hellfasts that this is just not going to be any of a difficult team to fight. But it was a pretty interesting team back in the days. I would also say it was a lot stronger when the Oracles were still doing 45 attack bar increase on an S1. In this case, that's no longer the case, so it's just like even the Raccoon Hellfast, even if your fire unit tends to die, and that could be like a Balinus, could be a Rika, could be... You will probably still win, and I had to pause that out for a second because this was a snipe, so I had to hit it at the right moments. Then in next fight, it's an interesting team for a Dark Monkey. Haven't seen Dark Monkey used like this. Do I feel like it's really bad? No, actually, I feel like with the Ayunu is definitely a dangerous unit. That Ayunu did do a lot more damage than expected because of the... Well, simple fact, we have the branding, we have the armor breaks. It does tend to do quite some damage. And Monkey is somewhat hard to kill, does steal buff, so is this a bad defense? No, not really actually. If you're thinking about putting a Dark Monkey on defense, it's probably one of the better Dark Monkey defenses that I've seen in quite a while. I could have died here, or at least the Leo could have died here. Would I have still been able to clear it if the Leo died? Most likely. I have seen that happen a few times. My Feng Yang and the Alaya, they just do so, or like the Feng Yang mainly does so ridiculous much damage that you just get away with it. And I would probably get away with it as long as my Feng Yang doesn't get armor broken. That's the main deal of it. If my Feng Yang doesn't get armor broken, I'm probably good to go. If he would get armor broken, it would probably get a little bit more tricky. But yeah, this Feng Yang, I've been seeing it hit up to like 9k per hit on armor break defense buff, which is just ridiculous. That thing does just way too much damage. That's why it's called the Unfair Bear, and that's also why it's one of the best siege units, if not the best siege offense unit there is out there still. So also the moment he has defense buff, he takes near to no damage. Even defense break and then defense buff, he still takes near to no damage. So yeah, that's just something that keeps working, will keep working, and that's also one of the ones that if you get dupes of it, it's probably the best one to get dupes of because it's just that great of a unit. And you don't really need a Leo and a Alaya next to it. You can use a lot of different teams next to it as well. So that's just the typical thing. We had a bunch of resistance. I kind of wanted to check like how much damage we would do on that because yeah, units mostly are low on defense itself. But we were hitting like 6Ks without defense break. That's... Yeah, that was 10.3. I think that was 10.3k per hit on defense break and defense buff. That's OP. Then the next hit, haven't used China Martina in ages. I actually fully had to rune up this team. But this is just one of those teams. Yeah, it's still one shots. If you want to run this in offense, use twins that do a lot of damage. And in any case, I never expected the Fae to be fast. And if it was fast enough, it wouldn't have been able to kill me. And if there is the Soul Protect, I will just steal the Soul Protect. It's as easy as that. So yeah, this team is still very strong, but only against very specific teams. But still very strong team. And then a final hit, can't miss out on this one, right? A little bit of Grogan. Actually, this is one of the first times that I used all 3 Tianas. I mostly don't really use all of my Tianas. Most of the time I use like a Dark Robo in there or something else. But yeah, Tiana, the no RNG unit, it's definitely good. It can get RNG'd on, even with an FTs though. So in that case where I used the no RNG setup, it would have actually been better if I used the Dark Robo for a little bit more chip damage, and then it would have actually killed on the Ferret, most likely. Either I still think Ferret is one of the better pairs next to a Neftis until I get the Talisman. Then I go full no RNG team, which would definitely be the best. So that is my video for today, playing against Cardiac Unity and Aftermath Unleashed. Hope you enjoyed this video and see you as always in the next one. Thanks for watching. If you would like to see more guides, join the Discord and check out the content tab, which has the Dungeon Guide Archive and the Video Guide Archive, which contains all of the guides that you need. Hope to see you there.